Hello everyone, Andrew here with a poor audio quality introduction. This is the episode that was originally on our Patreon feed. It's about the Masons Guild in 53 minutes with Guild Ball community rules team member Daniel Adams. Him and Steve will talk about the Masons Guild in quite a lot of depth. Today is also the date we're going to be releasing the Shepherd's Guild for our Patreon listeners. Again, it's $5 a month, which is probably roughly the cost of, I guess, 5 $1 suites a month. And in that, we'll have roughly an episode a month where we go into guilds and other bits and bobs. And if you don't pay that for whatever reason, the episodes will slowly be appearing on this feed. This episode originally was in February on Patreon feed, and now it's on here. Anyway, enough rambling. Time for the episode. Bye.
Welcome, my vaccinated listeners, to Singled Out Bonus Time. This is episode 63. In this episode, Steve Cole talks to Daniel Adams in a complete rundown of the Masons Guild.
Exciting! Live from COVID Island, it's Singled Out! This week we're talking about the Masons Guild with your host, Steve Cole. Hello. And Dan Rollbetter Adams.
Hello.
Hey, welcome. We're doing a Guild Ball podcast. Do you know what Guild Ball is? I don't know what Guild Ball is.
No. Go for it. Fumble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have that orc team, don't you?
Yeah.
Blitzers.
Yeah, Blitzers. Yes, I remember Blitzers.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, Blitzers are good. Hey, who are you and why are you on this podcast? for people that don't listen to Roll Better.
I am Daniel Adams. I am part of the Roll Better podcast. I have been playing Guild Ball since the Kickstarter came out, flitting around teams. I am the pundit for my local meta. I've played or commented basically every Vengeance. I try and go to a load of tournaments. I went to WTC last year on England 3, although that was with Union, not Masons. And I play games when it's not COVID.
Masons were your sort of first love, weren't they? Is that right, or did you evolve into them from Union?
So first off, way back when was Butchers, but it was like I went Butchers. I basically followed Gutter around playing wherever she was best. It was like Ox Butchers, Tapper Brewers, Union V Rage, and then once I played like a load of killing teams, I wanted something that was more 2-2-ish, and I got into Masons, especially because I was doing a lot of demoing to people, and often I would take Masons and the other person would take Brewers, and I really like the Masons. They're very good all-rounders, and I just gelled with them, and there were situations where I could do things with Masons that I couldn't do with any other team, and I hadn't had that feeling with any other team.
That's nice. Yeah, and I think a fair point for these, because obviously for those of you listening, this is the next in the series of the guilds in 30 minutes, 30-ish minutes.
Where's the rest of the podcast?
Where's the other 3.5 hours that you guys would run to? So this is the next in the series of that season, and obviously looking at Masons, and I think as you were sort of saying that they are quite a good sort of starter team, aren't they?
Yes, well, I'm assuming that's the reason they were put in kickoff. It's Masons versus Brewers in kickoff.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? So why are they a good beginners team? Why do you think they're?
I would say they're a good beginners team because they are a great way to teach the fundamentals of the game. Their sort of like identity is a lot of times linked to their playbooks, how their playbooks are structured, where most models can do most things, and all the lowdown results are momentous, rather than having, say, all the damage be momentous or all the pushes be momentous. And the fact that they have a variety of momentous results means, especially for new players, some of my earliest advice, which isn't advice to carry on going, but is when in doubt, take momentous results. And then when you've got the lowdown thing, you can go, well, I can do damage, I can dodge, and it. A lot of times when you like spike high, it often feels like words. I'm bad with words. You can do whatever you need to in a situation, and I find it helps people look, understand, and think about their options rather than just heading for the big red number at the top of the playbook. Big red number at the top of the playbook.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's not like, oh yeah, I've gone high, momentous 8.
Yeah.
Like it's more, yeah, you're considered.
Whatever I take will be momentous, and you actually consider what you're going to do in the situation. That sort of thing.
Is it fair to say they're a guild that can do a lot of stuff, right? They're not really locked into one. They're not like a pure damage team or a pure football team, but they can easily flex into doing any of those things.
They have like certain caveats to all the ways they play, I find, where sort of there's like a knack to doing everything. So like a lot of the times with damage, you're just taking bomb 2 over and over again. So if you need to get through anything with tough hide, you're going to need to bring someone with a damage stim. And as long as you know that, then you're probably fine. And with football, you're probably going to need Flint unless you're Corbelli and whatnot. So as long as you know the rough outline and you're not trying to, score goals with brick or anything, you can pretty much, you can 2-2, you can 3-0, you can 4-1, you can 6-0. And most of the teams that, if you build I'm going to build a 3-0 Corbelli team, that team will quite happily flex into the late level down. So you can flex quite easily from 3-0 into 2-2 or from 2-2 into 1-4 because you are heavily all round.
I say, fair to say, I guess that they're not like jack of all trades, master of none, because they can do most things well. But I think you're right.
Everything.
Yeah, but they don't. There's always like a little caveat, isn't there? Like if you wanted to go really extreme on it, you don't, like you're saying, you don't just have the automatic high damage of like a butcher's guild or a cook's guild, and you don't have, like range ball retrieval like a pure football guild.
I'd say apart from certain things, which I'm sure we will come on to later, they're a very fair guild.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the times when you're looking for an output, it is going to be I roll my dice against your defensive stats. As long as I roll roughly average, we're going to be okay because it's probably in the first 2 columns of my playbook.
Yeah, that makes sense. So is there like a core style for them, or do you think the style's heavily influenced by who the captain is?
I think the style is heavily influenced by who the captain is and really what you want, because I think most captains can play in most ways, and I find that unlike many other guilds where a lot of the erratas and patches were removing the model dependency, I don't really think they ever got round to Masons, and I still find that personally, a lot of once you select one model, it often selects the next one, and it sort of builds itself. There's maybe not as much flexibility in roster selection as there is with some other guilds.
And they have, in my experience, I've only played a couple of games with them. I've only really played against them, but they're slightly more limited in who their output models are, aren't they, than some other guilds? Most
of your output models will be captains.
Yeah.
I think the first times we really got an output model was when Chisel got her rework and when Brick got his latest change.
Yeah.
But so as far as I believe in Guild Ball is being able to one round models is very important, and because Masons are very low down the playbook, they often only have Mom 2.
Yeah.
So it's really divide someone's health by 2. That's how many influence you're generally going to need to put into them. Which means that often it is captains doing the heavy lifting, as when it comes to damage, and then also with goals. Just because they are, inverted commas, an inherently fair team, you just need weight of influence to do most things, because you're not going to have the big spikes.
And we sort of talked about, I guess it's slightly different. We talked about it with when we talked about cooks, like not you and I, but when we did the cooks podcast, we talked about the fact that like every model in that guild potentially does quite a lot of output. Like you're more not there's no issue with giving a model influence, like, and that affecting your output. Like it's more about the stage they come in at, and that you just can't you can't put full influence on everyone. Whereas with Masons, I guess that is one of the things, isn't it? You can, if you clip 2 or 3 models in a guild, the rest of them are much more supporting.
Yeah.
A bit more maybe like farmers or something like that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about captains then, because I think that's the big defining feature.
Yeah.
So Masons, obviously being a major guild, they have 3 captains. Which one do you want to start with? Do you want to talk about your favourite first, and then we can fill the rest of the podcast with the 3 minutes we've got left?
So Honor is the captain I absolutely fell in love with because she does things that no other captain can do in the game. She is, in my opinion, the epitome of an all-round captain. She, I'm gonna get out the card. So she has probably the most reliance on other models, but I don't know how you want to do this really. Because I'm assuming people have the cards in front of them, obviously. So
tell us like what's the core things that Honor brings, and what, I guess, like what way does she make the guild play?
I would say Honor is generally a 2/2 captain that flexes to like occasionally 3/0 or 1/4. But your core thing is going to be 2/2. The main thing I would say Honor brings is her turn 1 is better than basically any other turn 1 in the game, bar maybe like Vet Greed.
Yeah.
Because of superior strategy, you can guarantee that you are going last, which is incredibly powerful, especially when like you have the ball. It almost gives you like that sort of right of postponement that like I'm going to score this goal and it's going to be the last thing that happens, rather than I score the goal and then you get to snap back or anything. It also gives, again, they've been getting rid of the free jogs, and it's another way to buy more distance. When the one thing Masons do lack a lot is maneuverability, and Honor can really make up for that.
They're also quite vulnerable to character plays, aren't they? So superior strategy gives you a way to get round. You can stay out to blind range or out of like fire or something like that. And she's probably the most versatile captain, right? She can do the most stuff.
She has a bomb tackle. Like her playbook is very quintessentially Mason. She's mom tackle on 1. She has a double dodge on 2, which is an incredible counter attack. She has mom 2 on 2. I believe she's the only Mason's captain with mom 2 on 2, if I remember rightly.
Yes.
Which can go up to mom 3 because she is assist marbles. Where she probably is lacking is she's quite weak to counterattacks because her KD's on 4 and her like double disengage is on 3, and it's not great. She's only 1 inch.
Yeah, and she's and like everyone, I guess, in the guild, she's she's basically death 3.
Yeah.
So she's got armor, but like against character plays or sort of low, easily achievable knockdowns, she does get hit by stuff. But she's definitely the most versatile. She's got I guess the other thing she probably does is defines your roster.
Yes.
In perhaps more of a locked way, because she has she has specific relationship with marbles and harmony.
And then harmony is linked to brick.
Yeah.
Is that still the case? It's been a while since I played.
I think so. Yeah. This is listener. This will be slightly more card reading than we usually do because neither of us have played.
She is protected brick.
So she does like sort of to a certain extent select your squad a bit more. Like I mean I'm sure there's probably some clever tech reason why you might take Wrecker with Honor, but I can't really see it.
2 ramming speeds with superior strategy, maybe. But it's not assist though. Assist and counter charge is so powerful.
But I think the main thing she does give you, is incredible mobility, incredible activation control, a captain who can do a lot herself, and things like quick time are helpful because she can pull your team around a little bit.
She's also got herself has an incredibly long threat range.
Yeah.
If you need your last 4 points, if you can get the ball to Honor, as long as Honor is within 20 or so inches of the enemy goal, you can wait until the last activation, go second, and probably go the entire distance.
Yeah.
And she really will not struggle. It's just a case of spending influence.
Yeah, and you can even the range is huge. I think you can sprint twice, you can quick time once. In theory, there's a lot you can do with her. So And she's also probably, I guess, because she's so versatile, she's a lot of fun. Like, what are the downsides of Honor? We said she locks you in a bit to some of the squaddies. What else?
Locks you in a bit to some of the squaddies, which means like the bottom half of your roster is quite tight, and you really only get like 1 or 2 flex models.
Yeah.
She also struggles. I find that other guilds force the way she plays slightly more than other Masons captains. So where Corbelli, irrelevant of their guild, you can probably force a football strategy, and with Hammer you can probably force killing. She does need to adapt in spite of the other guild. So like against Brewers, it's very hard to get your kills because you are reliant on marbles and probably tower for the tool up. So you have to flex close to 3-0. Where I guess she has less agency of her own.
She's less vulnerable to control, though, isn't she? Because she can essentially always dump half her influence onto another model. So that's an advantage. Like if you're, you can she's less focused. She can be incredibly focused, like you say, tooled up with marble. She's a chainsaw, but she can also. But
again, something like Brewers, like the Brewers player is never going to let you have that.
Yeah,
like, she needs that setup to go through stuff like Tough Hide.
So thinking about Tough Hide, should we talk about the Masons captain who doesn't really have an issue with Tough Hide, which is
yeah,
exactly.
You just dodge around it. It's fine. Hammer, I'm assuming.
Yeah, let's go to Hammer. So Hammer's quite different, because he is very greedy.
Yes.
He is the super solo captain.
I would say most Masons captains are greedy. You very rarely put anything less than 4 on a Masons captain.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess you don't really put influence on Hammer expecting Hammer to spend it on another model, though.
No,
which
not really at all.
Yeah. And so what does Hammer do?
So Hammer is your damage captain. He is your super solo captain, really. Like, he will generally always get his stack of 6, and he's always going to output points in a turn. As long as Hammer's big limiting factor is his range.
Yeah.
He has a very binary range where if you can measure 10 inches, you can probably stay away from Hammer.
Yeah. If you're within 10 inches, you're probably really unhappy.
Yeah. He's also probably the best Mason's captain at getting at scoring 6-point activations.
Yeah.
Because as soon as he gets into a model, he has a lot of maneuverability due to knockback.
Yeah.
So if you can get the ball to him, he's quite able to kill a model plus score, I find. He's less shackled on his roster is more open generally.
Yeah.
Because he brings whereas Honor allows other models to output slightly more, like with the Harmony and the Wrecker and whatnot, Marbles and whatnot. Because Hammer does a lot of the heavy lifting himself, his roster is slightly freer to flex in and out.
Though I guess you tend to end up with at least 1 or 2 models who are basically supporting Hammer, because so much of your output comes through Hammer. Like Honor can turn other models into decent output models, where there's so much is coming through Hammer that you often end up taking Tower for tooled up and V Harmony, so he doesn't get knocked down. Because he's a weird. The one thing is with Hammer, his 2 weaknesses, I guess, are he is pretty vulnerable to being controlled. Though there are mitigations for that. Like he doesn't hugely like a fire AoE standing in his way, or fear or something like that. And he is 1 inch reach, and he's not so he is vulnerable to being disengaged by stoic models.
Yeah. Well, he's also stoic.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So generally stoic models won't disengage from him because you both just pop and.
But someone who can knock him down or something it's sort of
His big problem, I think, is sturdy models more, because he's got a lot of combined results down the playbook. He's got damage plus KD, damage plus push, and then all of those are then combined with a push dodge as well due to knockback. So if you can if you can block the KD, you block. You can generally, if you can counterattack him and get away, you're fine. He's got no re-engage. Anything you can do to make Hammer spend more influence really hurts it.
Yeah. So it's a classic super solo, basically. You're trying to he's going to do stuff. It's how much you as the Masons player can get him in a situation where he can spend all of his influence just punching and damaging people or getting towards goal, and how much you can avoid him having to charge and him having to sprint, or him having to take results that he doesn't want to take and things like that.
There is, I've not played it myself, but I know that some people like the super prison list with hammer, where you take granite, brick, chisel, harmony, I think.
Yeah, it's that sort of thing, isn't it?
That sort of thing, and you just sit in a block, and no one can really touch hammer. Then hammer sort of yo-yos in and out at every turn. But
or someone comes in to get. Yeah, it's quite a common list, isn't it? I think we saw more maybe at the start of season 4 because actually it's quite vulnerable to football teams, that list. Like, it is a good list because you basically create a big trap with all the models that we'll talk about later, that make life awkward for the opposition, and at the heart of it is hammer killing stuff. The trouble I think that has is if you end up with someone who massively outranges you, like Steeljaw just doesn't care. It's like, oh great, you all stay on your side of the board. I'm coming nowhere near you, and you're all going to be snared and bleeding and poisoned. Or somebody like Midas, who's just like, that's great, you all stay together, now you're all on fire, and I've got the ball. So there's a bit of a balance there. But he is definitely, I think the main thing, he is really good at 6-point activation. So you can be super aggressive with him. I've seen some people use him, with a deliberate recycling of, Hammer's going to go, he's going to score 6 points, he's going to die, I'm going to sit on my hands for a turn, and then Hammer's going to come back in and score another 6 points.
Especially on the receive, I find. If you can get your 6 points with Hammer on your turn, turn 1, top of turn 2, whatever that is, then they're almost forced to have to play a game without scoring, because if you get to kick out, you're probably just going to 6-point again with Hammer. If you get any sort of setup.
So talking about goals, should we talk about Corbelli?
I will admit that I've only played him twice, I think. Because I'm a small little snowflake, and I refused to play him when he was super good.
Broken thing that Steam have ever released, and I stand by that statement because a model that automatically scored a goal.
Were you playing season 1?
No, that's true.
Did you play Range Gut and String Shark? Because that might have been the most.
I didn't play that. No. In my time playing. In my time playing, the most broken Wave 3 captain, which was quite a high bar. But so he is the football captain, right?
He is the football captain. He is also, I would say he's also the mobility captain. Masons do struggle with mobility, but with Corbelli, as soon as you have the ball, everyone's got where they go. It's great.
And I guess in the same way, Hammer, he's weirdly almost the most straightforward captain, because it is get ball, score goal, get ball, score goal. Rinse and repeat. Now
there's some timing things with the dodge, and because you can declare the pass, dodge into range, and then snapshot and whatnot. But as long as you've got a vague understanding of how that works, it's pretty simple.
And he seems. I don't know. I've seen. I've played against Christian Metz using him and a few others, and I think what he said was, Corbelli's like the receive captain. That was the big thing, because he's so happy with the ball.
I've seen, I can't remember who did it. Apologies. But I've seen a Masons player with Corbelli receive the ball and proceed to not score a goal for the first 4 turns, because he was just using it to dodge around all his big enforcer models and create every scrum he wanted.
That could be interesting, yeah. And then you've still got that option there. I mean, I think the interesting thing with Corbelli is you're probably more tied in terms of again, decisions about squaddies. It seems to me like you're very tied to O-Chisel with him, because if you want to do any damage to anyone, that's your option.
Agreed.
That's your one option.
Sort of having doing the fish thing where you mass crowd out, and you've got brick and granite, and they're never getting out, and you're just I'll eventually do you to death.
Yeah. But there's no other model that really, there's no, because you get your captain doesn't do damage, so that's the squaddy that does damage.
Corbelli is probably the most inflexible captain in his own right. And then the Masons roster has problems with output models that are not captains. There's only I would say a stretch of 3. When you're talking Flint, O-Chisel, and then Harmony-ish.
That makes sense.
Whereas everywhere else is just sort of struggling to do things. But
they won't not do stuff, but they're not gonna. You're not gonna be if you're relying.
They're not gonna run one round anyone. They're not going to grab the ball out of the scrum.
They're not gonna. They're just sort of doing quite this is like
They're still playing Season 2 Guild Ball.
Yeah, they're very deliberate roles and they fulfill them.
Yeah.
Should we talk quickly about mascots then? Because Masons are one of the guilds with 2 very good mascots. I think we said before, like Marbles is a bit of a no-brainer with Honor because he provides assist.
I also think Goad is one of the most powerful character plays in the game, definitely in the guild.
Yeah.
The amount of times where, and because Goad is on a mascot in Masons, you sort of trade up in points, inverted commas.
Yeah.
Like the amount of like big output models you can Goad with Marbles and then just peg him behind cover is great.
And it's also like if the other thing is if you goad someone with Marbles and they don't kill them, they're then standing next to Marbles and he's then got assist. So
sorry, Karen.
No, you.
So when like blacksmiths first came in, end of season, mid season, like 3.5 or whenever it was, the amount of times where Marbles would run up to Hearth, hug her, and goad her just so she can't move, because Hearth's never killing Marbles, so she just can't walk away. She can knock down Marbles all she wants, but she's not allowed to walk away from it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
then Honor comes in,
and Honor's just in range.
And I think if people wanted like an example of like good Marbles with Honor, like there's the game from the WTC we were at with Bryce versus Christian Metz, the aforementioned Christian Metz, where essentially for the first 3 turns Marbles just keeps goading Thresher.
Yeah.
And
it's like a coin flip. If you got momentum, always bonus time goad.
Yeah.
But like you just trade up like 1 influence for 5.
Yeah, and then the other one is countercharge, right? He's one of the few models with countercharge, and it's
also a relevant countercharge. Like what he hits on the playbook is relevant. He has a push on 2. He can against like the big output models, like the Vet Cats and the Windles. He can wrap into like double push quite easily.
Yeah. And he also, it's untethered countercharge. He is the only untethered countercharge model in the game. So, which I still forget because it used to be linked to Brick. And I've always had a massive weak point about countercharge, and now I'll just be like, oh, Brick isn't even on the pitch. Marbles can't count. Oh no. And then Wrecker is the other mascot. And Wrecker is essentially 2 things, isn't he? He's a push bot, and against certain strikers, he's the world's most annoying ball holder.
Wrecker in cover.
Yeah.
I hope you're the character play to sort this out.
Yeah. But he's battering ram bot.
Yeah. And he's also very quick.
Yeah.
Like not only does he bunker a ball, he can actually run a ball away, which a lot of like the big chunky like 3-arm models that used to bunker balls can't run away, whereas he can.
Yeah, Iron's not running very far.
Especially against 1-inch strikers, where even if they come and like end the turn disengaging, where they can like maybe get a good counter attack, he can just nudge them in, push them 2-inch out, and then just go on his other way.
Yeah, and also he like for those models, I've definitely had situations where I've had the ball on Vitriol, and someone's just gone and engaged her with Wrecker, and you're like, I can't, and Wrecker in cover, you're like, oh, I can't get out because I can only hit my first ball, and I can't walk away because he's got knocked down on 1 or something. Is it Wrecker? 2. He's got knocked down on 2. So his parting blow is pretty relevant. Knockdown and a tackle on 2 on second column. So attack 5. That's not. Yeah. That's something you have to consider. So let's talk about the squaddies, and I think we've talked a bit about Masons having limited output squaddies. Yeah. So should we talk about those specifically, the 3 output squaddies you mentioned? So the first one, Flint.
Yeah, Flint is your football output squaddie. I am still of the opinion he is probably like top 3 strikers in the game. He has everything you want. His like only weak point is having tack 4, but that's not uncommon in strikers. He's 1 inch as well, but like he got buffed to 4-1 in the last update, which is great. Like he's above average defensive stats for a Mason. He's got Where They Go, which is like the best viable dodge. He's got tackle dodge on 1, momentous.
Close control.
Control, yeah.
4-8 kick. Yeah, he's like he's like the sort of I think the previous guest on this series, Edek, who was saying like Flint is like the archetypal striker. Like he does everything you want from a striker, and he does it in a very simple manner. So it's not rocket science thing. I guess it makes him very hard to displace from the team because he is very good at what he does, and he does it in a very. I think a thing I find with a lot of the good strikers, like sort of Fathom and Flint and Spade, is they're actually very point and click.
Yes,
Go
definitely.
a long way with the ball, with some sort of dodge in there, and have a good kick stat.
Like Masons have the slight benefit of it being slightly less point and click because you've got like Corbellian Honor, where
Yeah.
you can sort of extend and move it around and jiggle it around a bit.
But I guess unlike, say, we mentioned Vitriol earlier, you're not worried about is Flint standing near this other model to do this thing. You're not pulling other stuff out of it, or you don't have specific relationships to cover or anything like he's great. So Flint, Chisel was probably the other one we mentioned.
Chisel, yep. Chisel is sort of the squaddy damaged output model. You've got Monty on 2. She's got her own damage stim that she can buy without influence, which means she can still have 4 attacks to output with 2 on 1 and 3 on 2.
Yeah.
And once you play Guild Ball for a bit, the first 2 columns are really what you're looking for in a model. If your first 2 columns are bad, the model is probably not good.
Yeah.
Like, because in any situation where like they've got a crowd out or thing, you're only hitting those 2 columns. Like,
yeah, I know Chisel. Yeah, she's the one with the most. Yeah, like you say, she's got that. She
wraps naturally.
Yeah,
because she's tax 6.
And she also, you can give her 2 damage buffs, because she's the only, other than Hammer, she's the only model that can have 2 damage buffs. So she can be 1-3 on 1, which is great. And she can one round a model with the right setup, but also she can definitely bottom top a model.
Yes,
which a lot of Masons, but basically no other Mason squad you can really do.
She can also top a model with Honor, where if you prison a model at the bottom of a turn, like with 1 hit point.
Yeah.
You can finish it off, trigger her +2 armor for the turn, jog backwards, and then superior strategy her, so you've still got her fully loaded chisel ready to go, but she's then 3/3.
Yeah, and that's the other big thing she brings us in, is that if she's killed someone, she's very, very durable.
Yeah.
If she hasn't killed someone, she's pretty squishy because she's 3/1, 14 boxes. So she's very glass cannony.
There's many situations where when games are quite even, you'll end up going 6 on Captain, 4 on Chisel, and they've got to pick one of them to kill, and they're probably killing whichever one they pick, but then the other one's got to do the work.
Yeah. And so the last one we talked about as an output model is a bit more situational, but is Harmony.
One last point on Chisel, actually. Against the low def models, like stuff like Brewers and that lot, her wraps are really good, because not only does she have a 4 at the top of her book, and she wraps naturally, she also has concussion.
Yeah.
Which is because she has such high damage on the lower end of her playbook, hitting the non-momentous concussion wrapping into Mom 3, even if it's Mom 3 down to 2 due to Tough Hide, is super relevant against.
And she's the model that Vetcat spends they basically Vetcat and her, if they ever play on the same pitch, basically spend the whole game scared of each other, and then so if one gets into the other one's just ruined. But concussion's great against those models, and that's a really good point. So I would say it's probably 2 other output models. So Harmony, I think, is the one. Harmony, Harmony, you are almost certainly never taking if it's not an Honor team.
Yeah, I've never taken her on not an Honor team. I've taken Vet Harmony on Honor, but I've not taken Harmony on anyone else.
Yeah. And she is she's kind of an Honor mimic, isn't she?
Yeah, it's almost like a stat stick.
Yeah.
Because Honor imparts her stats to Harmony, it just makes it into another Mason's model that has a very good stat line, and it allows you to, because it's linked, which is again one of the best rules in the game. There are so many situations where linked can get you wins that you can't get in any other way. You can put any combination of models down, it's not going to work unless you got it linked. Because you can spend, because they stopped it going over the limit, so I think it's 13 influence all in one turn with Honor and Harmony.
Yeah.
If you need to, again, if you need a 6-point activation at the top of a turn, you can sort of kill one thing with Honor and then have the ball on Harmony, and that'll be your 6 points.
And I think it's the other thing with linked, I guess, is usually the risk around link is you drop an activation.
Yeah.
But Honor can patch that because she's because you have superior strategy, so you can at least often even that score a bit.
A lot of the time with linked, you are going to be trading down in influence.
Yeah.
Even if you maintain activation parity, you're going to be trading down influence because you're probably spending 10 influence to remove maximum 6 of theirs.
Yeah.
But it's just how important that 6 influence is.
Yeah.
It's almost to coin a term from like other games. It's almost like a tempo play.
Yeah.
Where you're taking the hit in resources, but your resources mean less than theirs, so it's fine.
Yeah, and obviously the other benefit she has is, as you said, protect brick. So she is a 5/1, which is a mean stat line. I would suggest that there's probably one other sort of output model, which is the newest Mason, which might be Champ.
I was going to say possibly Lucky because I've not played with Lucky, and I know I've heard he gets like vague output because he's Mom 2-on-2, but I don't have really knowledge of that. Champ, I've played a little bit of, but I have mostly played for her for being sort of like Flint light.
Yeah.
Where she's got the distance of Flint, especially in like honor teams and Corbelli teams, but it doesn't quite have the playbook and tact to like. She doesn't have the Bible dodge. Is the problem?
Yeah. I mean, has Native put me back in coach, which is really good. So you never lose the influence on her.
Although you can kind of sort of lose the influence. Like if you stack her with 4 and they kill her and she comes on, even with stamina, sometimes she can't spend it in any
meaningful way.
Because she doesn't have any damage to 2.
Yeah.
Generally, doesn't have any damage until Mom 2-on-3.
Yeah. Unless
she's interacting with the ball, she often doesn't get any work done.
Yeah.
So you can sort of soft kill the influence, even if they can spend it, it's not really in any relevant way.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, there's a bit more positioning, and I think it's that thing, isn't it? Like there are more conditions with her than there are with Flint. But she is a decent striker. She has some good skills, but she is a bit more complex than Flint, and she's a bit easier to invalidate than Flint, I think. So
agree.
Yeah. And then, so should we talk about this? Probably another sort of. There's a couple of models that are essentially in there to do sort of one or two things, aren't there? Which is probably
that's basically the Masons roster is models doing one or two things, but doing them quite well.
But I guess there's like, should we talk about the sort of the tar pit models?
So that's like
Brick.
So Brick's probably like the most egregious tar pit model, just because he is so good. Like all of his stats and playbook are like so pushed. He's Mom 2-on-2, knockdown on 1. He's TAC 5. Fulcrum is really good.
Yeah.
I think that's like quite underrated.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
He's a very good like first activation, where if you've got like a scrum going and you've prisoned someone, he's quite a good one to go first. Mom 2's one person, puts up Fulcrum, and then sort of engages someone else.
Yeah.
He's another knockback model, which is again very powerful ability. Like Brick, Tower, and Hammer, knockback can get sort of surf them into all sorts of situations. It also gives them like functionally double pushes on 1 for the purposes of counterattacking, because you don't have to take the dodge.
Brick's counterattack is filth, especially because he has gravity well.
Yes.
So you're always engaging him if you engage him, and he essentially has a triple push on. He's TAC 5, triple push on 2 hits, double push on 1. So he is not a model to like sort of glide by with the ball and maybe just bounce off Brick. Like no, that's
not how this is working.
And then I guess the other model you often see with him is Granite.
Yes.
Because they stack on each other really well, right?
Yes. Because Granite, whereas Brick forces you to attack him, really, because of gravity well and just the way that Brick is, you sort of have to attack him. Then Granite then punishes you for attacking Brick, because you're trying to get through 3 armor, 1 crowd out, close ranks, and it's like good luck with functionally -5 dice.
Yeah.
You better have a really good first column.
And it's a nice thing for a Mason's play to set up, because you make them overlap with each other. You can sort of guard your valuable captain with them, and hope that your opponent sort of wanders in there.
The other model to talk about with Granite is hello.
There's an animal appeared on the screen. That isn't Dan giving me an affectionate hello, unfortunately.
I would, but there is my cat. The other model to talk about with Granite is Vet Harmony.
Yeah.
She still does that, right? I'm not. Yep, it is. So Vet Harmony has you've got a lot of 4-inch auras, turns out. Has got 4-inch auras where she can pass damage off to herself. So what you can do with Granite is, if Granite takes damage, you can pass that to Vet Harmony, and then someone within 4 inches of Granite has taken damage. So Granite can then have the free jog herself.
Yeah, they get a lot of displacement, don't they?
Yeah.
And she also can take damage and conditions, can't she?
Yes.
So she's
No, isn't it
really...
Chisel that takes conditions, or am I imagining V Chisel?
Oh, it's V Chisel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So she's clear conditions. She has Field Medic. That's the one. So she can basically hit. She's one of the 2 models, with 3 with Lucky, I guess, in the guild that can like help clear conditions off you. She also has Mark Target, which is really useful for all the reasons Mark Target is useful.
Yeah, popping resilience, popping. Again, especially with stuff like Hammer, which is where you often see Vet Chisel.
Yeah.
Anything that can extend Hammer's threat range is gold, because its influence Hammer doesn't have to spend.
Yeah. And then I guess there's another sort of tier of models that sort of sit behind that, which is, we talked Vet Chisel is she's a kind of flex bot, isn't she? Yeah. She allows you to do lots of flex in game, I guess.
So as you this is how you get where like the Masons roster is very reliant on all the rest of the Masons roster. Whereas if you take Brick, then you probably want to take Granite, and if you take Granite, then maybe you want to look at V Harmony, and like it sort of snowballs. So Vet Chisel is an interesting one because she can move influence around. So a lot of the time, what you can find is that if, say for instance, like they've got a goad or something like that, or countercharge where they can invalidate your influence, sometimes you, rather than spending any of that, you just leave it there, and you can then shift that with Vet Chisel onto someone who is. It also interacts really well with Honor's superior strategy, because you can, say for instance, obviously not with O Chisel, but like you can fully spend, say, Brick's influence, superior strategy Brick, and then move someone else's influence onto Brick, so you can have 2 fully loaded activations with the same model.
Yeah, and then there's probably a couple of others that I think easy ones to talk about.
She also has assist.
Yeah,
she can hand out assist, which is fantastic.
Again,
another plus damage.
Yeah. Hammer with assist is pretty monstrous. Like so if it's a team that you're like, I'm happy hitting those 6, but I just need to go through a couple of really tough models and I'll be okay. V Chisel with Hammer is pretty amazing. And then I guess the sort of remaining 2, I think, that we've not really touched on are kind of tech pieces, aren't they? Mallet and Tower.
Yes.
Tower's in there, like he has knockback, he has various things, he can do some damage. He's mainly there for tooled up.
Yes, like he's mainly there for tooled up and the Stoic Aura, which is the same one as the dots on Rivet, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
Stand close, protect close. The other thing I find with Tower, weirdly, is he's like quite a good late game goal threat.
Yeah,
just because he has like functionally a tackle push on 2.
Yeah. Which
is like against 1-inch models is gold.
That's really good. Yeah, and he's pretty durable. 18 boxes, 3/2 is sort of captain level durability.
Masons at the Southeast Masters?
Yes.
Like Big 64. And in the finals, I was against Dan Harwood's Fish, and he sturdied himself, charged through Corsair's melee zone, took the KD on the sturdy.
Yeah.
To tackle push the ball away from a Vet Siren and then shoot the goal.
Nice. Yeah, that's some sweet tech. And then the last one, Mallet.
Mallet he's the one that I have the most problems playing.
Yeah.
He's not only do I find it hard to put him in a roster, I also find it hard to fix him in the 12. He's quite slow. He's a brilliant enabler model, but Masons have so many other enabler models.
Yeah, and he can do some stuff. He can, it's attack stuff. It's pretty good.
He's a very good ball holder turn 1 on the receive.
Yeah, he's very good until he's not.
Yeah,
like
and
that's
then
Smash Ins is really good. Smash Ins on 1 is great, but against defense 3 against a range character play, or a 2-inch model with a tackle dodge or a tackle push.
The other problem I have is even in his best case scenario, which is probably receiving the ball. And then he's where you put the ball against 2-inch melee teams, because he's 3/2. A lot of the times they can hit the top end of the playbook, which has some tackle double dodge, and you can sort of get around that if you then took Champ and then gave him close control, but then you're taking Champ and Mallet, which is then
And that's the thing, isn't it? Like you say, that there's some things that cascade each other, like in terms of teams, and we'll talk about those, I think, in just a second. Like, there's also the reverse temptation of, like, if you make a suboptimal pick or a pick that isn't very good, you're often like, oh, I can take this model to cover this thing. Like, it's often, so the conversation I remember having with Albert Cox at the peak of Corbelli, when you could take, V Chisel with Corbelli, and everyone was saying, we take V Chisel with Corbelli, and then you can put assist on Corbelli, and then Corbelli does loads of damage, and I was like, or you just take O Chisel and kill something, and Corbelli scores a goal. Like, you're getting like 5 or 6 extra damage maybe on, but you just score goals. Like, so there is that temptation, isn't it, to be like, you can come up with lots of ingenious combinations with Masons,
but sometimes you can be too clever.
Yeah, that's something. Should we talk a little bit about, like, sort of like the team you'd build out, because there's these quite distinct teams, or maybe even just like an example, sort of core team for each of the captains, because I think we've said they do drive. So let's start with Honor, and I think
I have problems because I'm probably going to bring my own biases into this.
This is a podcast full of bias,
okay, that's fine. Then this is going to be good. Perfect. Honor.
At no point have we said this is a neutral podcast without opinions about stuff that is.
Honor is the only captain worth playing. Don't have the others in the roster. There's no point. Honor will do whatever you want, whenever you want. There we go. But
in counter that argument, I give you blacksmiths.
Yeah,
you
right.
want Hammer into blacksmiths.
Hammer, I think blacksmiths are the only reason why I play Hammer in my 12. So Honor, I cannot find a reason not to take marbles.
Yeah.
I've tried Rekka, it's just not marbles. He gives way too much to Honor. Like, I think even if he didn't have assist Honor, I'd possibly take him over Rekka anyway, just because I really rate Goad and countercharge, but he's got the assist as well, which makes him very hard to pass up. Personally, I will always take O Harmony, because O Harmony helps the game states that I like to play in Masons, where you can pull wins out of nowhere or go for the win slightly earlier than like some people think or expect.
Yeah.
I find that like in like the complete stalemate matchups, then she loses some value. But in sort of an even matchup where like it's not just complete ball hunker on one side of the board, she generates. They've got to think like twice.
Yeah. You're always aware that's a possibility.
Yeah, and I don't believe she's played that often, so a lot of people misplay into them, I find. Yeah. Then I mostly always take Flint, just because whether kicking or receiving, because of superior strategy, Flint's always going to get his turn 1 goal run.
Yeah.
Because either you're going to kick out and then you've still got 2 Flint activations to go and pick up the ball and score, or you can hold that activation for as long as possible and then score, probably with momentum going into the next turn. So, like, if they misplay the ball, then you get a second goal. So then that leaves 2 slots. I find it very hard to not bring a Chisel.
Yeah.
Whether it's if I'm looking at a very quick game, like say into Fish, I sometimes bring V Chisel because I'm looking to make the most out of superior strategy activations, and the moving influence really helps that because you can like front load areas of the board and really push through there. And then, but generally I'll take O Chisel into most matchups just because, again, output models are very valuable. And then you've got 1 flex spot open, which really is basically entirely matchup dependent.
Yeah.
A lot of the time I will default to Brick just because it keeps Harmony safe and he's just very good all around.
Yeah.
But there are reasons why you'd want Granite. Like, again, if you're into like lots of 2-inch, maybe you want Granite over Brick.
Yeah. That makes sense. And then let's talk about the cursed lesser captains then as the trademark.
If we have to.
So I think Hammer is... the Hammer Prison we talked about, which is probably the most common where you see it, is, Hammer, Granite, Brick, Wrecker, V-Chisel, and Vet Harmony.
Because not only does that, or like sometimes you'll flex V-Chisel into Tower.
Yeah, Tower,
depending on what their condition game is. Because that gives you ways to threat extend Hammer, it gives you ways to keep Hammer safe. A lot of the time, you will want to go second with that team and then be able to go with Hammer last. And it gives you the highest chance of being able to push Hammer into a position where he can sort of yo-yo in and out.
and then if you get the more varied team, you tend to see, hammer, flint or chisel, some other output models essentially, and it's almost like a mason
kick, I think.
Yeah,
because he gets to start 5 inches up, plus a wrecker push, plus mark target, and then you're really threatening the board, and it's very hard for them to keep everyone out of range without sort of retreating behind their line.
Yeah, and the big thing to be aware of just with the wrecker push in Hammer is that will remove Hammer's Stoic.
Yeah.
Sturdy, is it Stoic? I can't remember. Which is the one you get pushed in?
Stoic, will it?
Stoic, I think. So because wrecker...
Is Stoic not enemy?
No.
No, it's May.
You may ignore the first push, but as soon as you've used that,
you don't get to Stoic on another model, but it's not you don't have to suffer a push and then
No, you can be pushed by Wrecker, but it just means that then if you go into a mod, say you go into Hearth, the aforementioned Hearth, she's just going to push Hammer right back out.
Sure.
Because and it's just a little one to be aware of with Hammer, and then Corbelli. So
Corbelli's the one I have least experience on, but I would probably default to taking marbles just because I rate goad. Yeah. It also gives you a pseudo goalkeeper. You probably don't play marbles far up like you do with honor.
Yeah.
But I can imagine you play them fairly close to the goal. You get to countercharge occasionally through goads and that sort of stuff. I think you should probably always take Goad Chisel just because you need an output model.
Yeah, and then you're probably always taking Flint.
Yeah,
because he's the best striker, and then another mod.
It's probably whether you want to play that I'm going to move some big enforcers around, or whether you're going to I'm going to sort of yo-yo in O Chisel, Flint, and Corbelli, and then I want all the buffs to put on them. So you might take maybe Tower and Vet Harmony.
Yeah, and I think there's also there's some merit in it with Corbelli. I think I've seen it done where it's almost using Brick like a pseudo version of Mule. Because you can move him so far with Corbelli, of just going, Brick's going to come and interfere with you.
Yes.
Your whole team, go fight Brick. Because he is the most durable model in Mason. So, go fight Brick.
Here is a large target.
And while I run around and try and get the ball. So there is some merit to that. I guess, as we sort of get to summing up, are Masons fun?
Yes.
Yeah.
They might not be flashy, but if you find looking at the game of Guild Ball not like a puzzle, like an engineer puzzle where it's I need to hit there, dodge there, but they're a great team where if you find it fun to look for your outs, they're a great team for that. They also help your fundamentals. Just learning the game as a whole through Masons is I think it's very rewarding because you get they reward you playing into the model's strengths, but also let you flex outside of that. So when you see the slightly flashier play that actually because Mallet's got pushes, this time it's not right for him to hit singled out shins, I'm gonna set up some damage or do the pushes, or he's got the forceful charge which is guaranteed damage. Most situations you can probably find a way out with Masons, which is something that I love.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love having options, and I don't. And they're a funny one, and they're a guild that can work, as we talked about. So Hammer Prison is a guild with a very rigid single plan.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this, but they also work incredibly well as a guild where you've I don't really have a plan. I'm going to see what the board state looks like, and I'm going to play dependent on that. And so, they reward a lot of different play styles. I don't have much more to say about Masons. I know you could talk more about. Maybe we'll do some bonus contents at some point, which is just a 4-hour monologue from you about Honor and her glory. But I think that's a guild in a 3 etched into a 5 sort of scored out into a 3 in 30 minutes, and that's the Masons Guild. So I just want to say thanks for coming on, Dan.
No worries.
Thanks for taking the time to chat us all through this, and I'm sure that people can hit you up on Discord and things like that if they want to chat Masons.
I'm always happy to chat Masons.
Brilliant. So thank you very much, dear listener. We hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you again, I'm sure, for more guilds in somewhat more than 30 minutes.
Thank you.